All right, welcome back to the 7-5, corrupt cops who cross the line. Check out the description below. There's a lot of links to different merchandise, videos, books, whatever, social media. All right, so last week I cut the video a little short because I wanted to talk about something. I still don't remember what the hell it was. We have a lot of Q&As that came in, so I'm not going to go into other corrupt cop stories. I'm just going to answer the Q&As today and see what you guys think about that. Just doing a Q&A section. I know most of you write me that you like more about the 7-5 itself as opposed to other cops getting in trouble that I talk about, even though that is, interesting. That's what the channel is supposed to be about. First question was, it was sort of twofold, but the first question was, in last week's story, I talked about when I dropped my shield, my badge, when I got hit in the head with the beer pitcher. Question was, what would happen if I didn't go back, I didn't find it, or if I did go back and didn't find it, if I just didn't find my badge, what would I have done? And what would have been the repercussions? It's a good question. Most cops, as soon as they get on the job, we have a thing in the academy called Gun and Shield Day. It's a day, it's right, like maybe 2 weeks before graduation. You get your gun, you get your shield, your badge, and the next day, most cops who have some, I don't want to say experience because we didn't have experience, but knowledge from other older cops, veterans on the job that we have spoke to, or having a family, and then you're close knit with guys in the academy, they'll let you know. You run out to the police supply store and you get yourself a duplicate badge. It looks identical to the badge that we have, the shield that we have. It's like a touch smaller, which means it's supposed to be like a ceremonial badge. That's why they're allowed to sell them. You put it on display in a case in your house, whatever. It's practically identical. You can't tell them apart. So most cops get that. I could have, being I was already crossing the line at that point, just said, fuck it, use that and get another duplicate to replace that. The problem with that is my real shield would have been out there somewhere, and someone could have used it to, impersonate a police officer, and it would be coming back to my number. That would be more trouble for me than reporting it stolen or lost. I would have probably reported it lost. So I would have went into the precinct I worked at the time, which was a 7-5, reported it to my boss. He would have reported, would have went up the chain. Internal Affairs would have did a little investigation. When's the last time you saw it? All that type of shit. Much like, what happens with guys who actually lose their guns. Guys have lost their guns in the past. They do an investigation, and you end up getting a command. We talked about this before, CD, command discipline. Now probably would have lost some vacation time. I would say something like that would probably cost me 10 days vacation, as opposed to when we talked the last time without the hat, when we had cash down my partner's pants, we only lost 4 hours each. So, and then the number would be retired. It would be a report out on my particular shield number, and they would have probably issued me a new number. So that's what would have happened. The second part of that question was, what happened after I went back and got my shield and me and my ex-partner left the scene? How did my wife handle it when I went home? How injured was I? Things like that. Let me tell you, as many of you know, Dory was an angel. At this time, I was 27, so she was 23, 24 years old at the time. I got home, it was 4 o'clock in the morning, bleeding, head split open, and, alcohol on my breath, probably a little drunk, as also with a concussion. And she takes care of me right away. She gets me in the shower, cleans me up, tries to stop the bleeding, couldn't stop the bleeding, gets me into our car. She drives, and she wasn't the best driver back then. She was only 23. She didn't get her license until she was 21. after we were married and, had baby, and I had to work, she had to, get around. So she wasn't the best driver, but she got me to the hospital, got me there safe. I ended up getting 5 or 6 stitches in my head. I don't exactly, it might have been staples at that time. I don't even remember. And that was that. And she took care of me, probably should have kicked my ass out of the house. All right. So that's what would have happened with my shield if I did end up losing it. And that's how Dory took care of me. Next question was, after the arrest, cops in the 7-5, did any of them speak to us? Did any of them, was there any contact with any cops, time wise back then or now? So after the arrest right away, there were 2 occasions where I saw cops. They took me back to the precinct when I became a cooperating witness. They took me back to the 7-5. They wanted to. My partner and I still had, we had both had our own lockers, and we had a shared locker. And he had moved on to a different precinct, the 9-4, as you all know, and I had retired, but we still had that shared locker in the precinct. So when I became a cooperating witness, I was like, there might be a locker still there. Guys that are current in the precinct don't go into someone else's locker just because they're not there. So I said, there might be our shared locker with, memo books or whatever stuff in there. Who knows what the hell we had left in there. It was years gone by. So I went back to the precinct, and when guys saw me, they're like, hey, what's up, man? What are you doing here? They're talking to me, and friendly, but investigative friendly. They wanted to know what was going on, because I was escorted back by the DEA, and Internal Affairs went in to talk to the boss. So that was one time. The other time was while we were in lockup out in Suffolk County in Riverhead. We were, still waiting to make bail. There was a big fucking to-do over it. Suffolk County DA was introduced a real high bail, and lawyers were trying to get the bail knocked down. It was a whole situation with that. But while we were in lockup, 7-5 cops that had gone to Suffolk County, they took the Suffolk County test. They left 7-5, they left NYPD, went out to Suffolk County. So we were in lockup 2 different occasions. 2 cops from the 7-5 came by while we were in the cells. A little embarrassing, obviously, for us, but it was uplifting. They asked how we were doing. Do you guys need anything? You want us to, get you anything from commissary, chips, things like that, soda, anything. Talk to us briefly while they were there. So that was uplifting, and you guys know who you are. Thank you. That was it definitely lifted everybody's spirits. It was only me and my ex-partner who were from the 7-5. The other guys were 7-3 cops and 9-4 cop, and my ex-partner's current partner. So it was only myself and my ex-partner who knew these guys. Again, thank you. You know who you were. All right. So the other question was, I had talked about central booking before. In the documentary, we talk about central book and things like that. So the question was, when you make an arrest, do all cops in the 5 boroughs go to the Tombs, which is in Manhattan? No, that is for Manhattan arrest. It is not for all 5 boroughs. Each borough has their own central booking. In fact, in Brooklyn, there's 2 central bookings. Where I worked, it was Brooklyn North. So I went to BCB, Brooklyn Central booking. It was in Brooklyn North. There was also central booking in Brooklyn South. I'm not sure what precinct that was, but I went to the A4 precinct. Did I ever go to the Tombs? They wanted to know. I had been in the Tombs in the academy. In the academy, they took us around. They took us to the morgue to see dead bodies. They took us to the Tombs to see how that whole situation works. And see, let me tell you, the Tombs, that is the right name, man. That shit looked like fucking caveman era cells at that time. I don't know how it is now, but it was dark and bleak. and it looked like, I don't know if you guys ever saw the movie Spartacus, when the cells, it was like brick. It wasn't a modern building. It looked like bricks all around with an arch, and from what I remember, and the cell doors, it looked really antique and antiquated, I think the word would be. So I did go to the tombs. Did I ever go to Rikers? Yes, I've been to Rikers multiple times. Most of the time it was for parole hearings. The first time I had gone there, I was a rookie, probably on the job a year, 2 years out in the street. So you work holidays at that time. I was working the morning of New Year's Day, which is midnight to 8 in the morning. So essentially it ruins your New Year's Eve, because you got to go to work at midnight, at the stroke of midnight when it's New Year's Eve. So we were, myself and my partner at the time, working that shift, probably around 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock in the morning. Get a call for a dispute. Family called up on their own family. 2 brothers were drunk and high, and they were going at it. Family couldn't stop them from fighting. My partner and I go there, and we, attempt to diffuse the situation, separate the 2 parties, which is, what you're taught to do, and get statements if you can. And at that time, it wasn't a forced arrest for family disputes, things like that. You could, settle them down and ask one to leave or whatever. Now it's any type of family situation. If there's an injury, you got to make a forced arrest. So we were there, and while we separate the parties, now the brothers are fighting us. So it's just me and my partner. And now while we're trying to cuff the brothers, because now they're assaulting police officers, the whole family jumps on top of us, trying to get us off their sons, and because there was a father there and uncles, whoever else was there, they're all trying to help the 2 brothers from being arrested, and us and myself and my partner arresting. So that's usually what happens. Not usually, but it happens a lot of times. You're in a family dispute. You go in there to help the family, and then the whole family turns on you. So we ended up locking up 4 members of the family, the 2 brothers and 2 other family members. Probably a year or 2 went by, and I got my first invite to Rikers Island for a parole hearing for one of the brothers. Went down. It was very, very basic. You go there, you have to go through a bunch of security, turn in your weapon because you can't bring weapons inside. Sat down, did the hearing. The kid gave his side of the story. I gave my side of the story, and then they make a determination whether he's allowed to get parole or not. So that was my Rikers Island thing. Let's see, what else we got? They heard about central booking. I basically went over that as central booking for the entire city. Central booking is not the entire city. Central booking for the 7-5 precinct was down in the 8-4 precinct. The process was pretty simple. They wanted to know about the process of making an arrest, bring the prisoner back to the precinct that you're working out of at the time. For us, obviously, it was a 7-5. When I first got to the precinct, there was tons of paperwork, very repetitive paperwork, but separate. As years went on, with computers, it became an online booking sheet, it was called. You just filled out one form, it went into the computer, and that was it. It was a lot easier. Depending on what type of arrest, if it was a homicide or a robbery, it might have to be enhanced by the detectives. They would, interview, see if they could interview if the suspect wanted to speak. And then you take them down to central booking. Normally, the way it worked, there would be another sector car in the precinct. They take the prisoner down, and if you wanted, you could go down in the same car. Most of us were a little savvy and didn't go down there, because then you're stranded down in the 8-4 precinct. We would take our private car and drive down to the 8-4 precinct ourselves, and then meet them down there. And then you take your prisoner up to Brooklyn Central Booking, which is above the second floor of the 8-4 precinct. You go inside, you get pictures and prints on your prisoner, put them in a cell. You go do a little bit more paperwork there. You go back and speak. Then you're separated from the prisoner, and you go back a couple of somewhere else on the second floor. You go through a few hallways, and you wait your turn to speak to the ADA, assistant district attorney, and tell him the situation, and he draws up a complaint. That took hours, man. You'd be down there sometimes, depending on how many arrests there were, and there was a lot of arrests in Brooklyn. You'd be down there, you flip around the clock. Very uncomfortable. There was cops laying all over in the hallways. There was a small lounge with a couple of couches and a TV. If you were fortunate and you knew guys in the A4 precinct, you go into the A4 precinct lounge and you hang out there, which I was able to do. So that's basically how arrests are handled. That's how arrests were handled, and that's a process with Central Booking. We called it Brooklyn Central, BCB, Brooklyn Central Booking. Miss Money. I spoke about Miss Money before, but I'll speak about it again because it covers two situations. They also wanted to know about other internal affairs investigations into us. It wasn't really into us, but it spans Miss Money and the fire department internal affairs unit, which I think was called the IG. There was a call for a fire. Myself and my partner went and picked up the job. It wasn't our job. Shot down there. Fire, and we knew the location. It was drug sales out of that location. So it was very likely they were cooking crack, and it got out of hand, and the place went up in flames. We got there. Place was destroyed. A lot of fire department was there, and when they were done, we stayed on the scene. The owners, I'm not sure if they fled or they let shit cook and they walked away. That's unlikely. They were not on the scene at the time. They were younger kids. Once fire department got the fire out, my partner and I went into the location to check it out for, secure the premises. Obviously, we're looking for drugs or money. There was a lot of damage, a lot of fire damage. Most damage was in the kitchen. That's where the fire was started, and that's where the most damage was. A lot of smoke damage. It was hard to breathe. I was definitely complaining. I wanted to get the fuck out of there. My partner was, he was savvy to this shit, man. He fucking knew there was money there. I was, dude, we got to go. I can't breathe. We got to go. We got to get the fuck out of here. So finally he agrees with, all right, let's go. And we wait outside. As we're leaving, the father of the location comes, and my ex-partner is feeling him out. He's sure as fuck there's money in this location. And he talks to him, he goes, are there any valuables? Much like he did with the girl the first time. He grabbed money on the scene, the teenage girl with me. Goes, are there any valuables in there? You need to escort it. You need us to escort you in and, help you get some valuables. It's very dangerous in there. And he was very hesitant and reluctant because obviously it's a drug location. But he goes, yes, I got some things in the kitchen that I need to get out. And fucking my ex-partner looks at me and he goes, gives me that fucking look like, I fucking told you. And, I made us get out of there. So it is on me. Guy goes in there, we escort him in. Under the kitchen sink, he starts pulling out coffee cans. Man, they're stuffed with cash. Probably pulled out 3 or 4 coffee cans. I don't remember exactly how many. Stuffed with cash, probably 50K or so. We missed it. I missed it. My fault, we missed it. So as we're leaving, my partner's like, we work hard too. We worked hard for you. So the guy peels off a couple of hundreds and gives it to us. Later on, we find out that they made a complaint that the fire department stole jewelry from the bedroom. There was apparently jewelry missing, and they weren't aware about it yet. We found out, and we went down to the fire department to let these guys know the house that was putting the fire out. IG is going to come questioning you guys. The owner made a report at the precinct that there was jewelry missing from his bedroom, so we let them know. So, you know, fire department, they wear big boots. They got a lot of space to put shit in. Not saying they took anything, but there was a complaint made against them. All right, so that is our Q&A for today. No corrupt cop stories of other cops. Hope you guys liked it. Make sure you give the video a thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't subscribed. We're slight numbers away from 1,000, man. I'm putting out that prize package, you guys. Talk to you soon. Thanks for tuning in. See you guys on the next video.